This is a lesson about genetics, and it's also a lesson about reading. When I designed the training, I decided to use one text over and over again in different ways. And the reason that I did that is, in addition to the practices that I was introducing, I really wanted to create for teachers a model of what a good reading lesson looks like. Can someone give me an example of a physical trait?
Hair color.
I'm sorry?
Hair color.
Hair color. Okay. In this particular lesson, we talked about traits. We introduced some words that would describe different personality traits, like assertive, introverted, extroverted, and worked with those words a little bit. So we have talked about some different personality traits. And here are some other ones: outgoing, generous, moody, funny, stubborn. Please speak to your neighbor about, do you think that we inherit personality traits from our parents? And why or why not? By talking about it, students could connect to it. They could connect their own experience and what they know. So they're kind of drawing on what they know, but they're also thinking about something that most of us are curious about. Do you inherit your personality or not? So I'm gratified that there was so much talk, because that means that it's an interesting question, right? And that's what I try to do when creating curriculum, is create at the center of it a question that is open-ended, that really there is no definite answer to it, to hook students in. Once they had talked about what they thought, then they read the text to look for the evidence. So that makes it more interesting. They made a prediction about it, and then they read and find out if they were right. In order to provide a purpose for reading, I put a guiding question on the board, which was, is there more evidence in the article for the idea that personality traits are inherited, or that they are not inherited? I asked them as they were reading to mark the text, to underline places where they found information that would answer that question. So that encouraged them to be active with the text, to really be interacting with it as they read. But Common Core really puts a very strong emphasis on rereading. And so reading lessons need to be constructed to create a purpose for students to reread. In this case, I asked them to reread the text and really look for the evidence that would support one position or the other position. And since it was a science-related article, that was easy to do. I might have given a different type of guiding question for a different type of text. The next step in a good reading lesson would be to use that information that they found in some other way. In our case, we used it for writing. There's different ways that you could process that information. You could create a summary. So once we've really worked the text, I would probably want students to go home and reread the text again and do something different with it. One of the things that really can help students study is to write their own questions. You can model writing that question together, and then students can go home and create different questions, and they can write answers to their questions. Now that the task requires prior knowledge, it's not really just about practicing reading skills. It's about learning the material that's in the text.